She liked you. You could feel it. The way she looked at you a second too long. The text she sent for no real reason. The laugh that came too easily when you were around. And then something happened. Not a fight, not a mistake, just a shift. Like a door quietly closing before you even knew it was open. And now you're sitting here trying to understand what went wrong. Here's what nobody is going to tell you. Nothing went wrong. Something went right. And that's exactly what scared her away. What you're about to hear is not dating advice. It's psychology. It's the dark mechanics of how the human mind responds to emotional threat. And make no mistake, to a woman who has been hurt before, genuine attraction is a threat. Not because you're dangerous, but because caring about someone gives them power over you. And power is terrifying when you've watched it be misused. The human brain has one job above all others. Not happiness, not love, survival. And the limbic system, the ancient emotional core of the brain, cannot tell the difference between the threat of a predator and the threat of heartbreak. Both feel like danger. Both trigger the same withdrawal response. So when a woman starts feeling something real for you, something deep and uncontrolled, her nervous system doesn't celebrate. It sounds an alarm. This is the part that will change how you see everything. The withdrawal is not rejection. It is a trauma response dressed in silence. Every woman who has ever loved and lost carries a map of damage inside her. Past men who promised things and vanished. Moments where she gave everything and received nothing. Times she let herself fall and hit concrete instead of being caught. Her nervous system remembers all of it, even when her conscious mind has moved on. So the moment you start to matter to her, that map activates. Her past rises up and whispers, "You know how this ends." And she listens, because the alternative, staying open, staying soft, continuing to let you in, feels like standing at the edge of something she's fallen from before. So she steps back. She creates distance, not to hurt you, but to survive what she's convinced herself is coming. Now here's where the psychology gets darker. The more emotionally unavailable her past experiences were, the stronger this response becomes. Women who grew up with inconsistent love, fathers who were present one day and gone the next, relationships where affection was used as a weapon, partners who only got closer when she pulled away. These women have been neurologically trained to distrust closeness. To them, safety doesn't feel like warmth. Safety feels like distance. And so when warmth arrives, in the form of you, their instinct is to manufacture distance to feel safe again. It is not logical. It is not fair. But it is real. There's a term in psychology called anxious attachment backlash. It describes the moment when someone who desperately wants connection becomes overwhelmed by the possibility of actually getting it. She wanted this. She wanted you. And that wanting became so intense that her mind flipped it into a threat. Because wanting something deeply means it can be taken from you, and losing something you never had hurts. But losing something you let yourself believe in, that's a different kind of damage. So she pulls away before you can leave. She controls the ending before it controls her. This is not manipulation. This is emotional self-defense from someone who has been ambushed by their own feelings and has no idea how to stand still inside them. And most men, without realizing it, make everything worse. The moment she goes quiet, the anxiety kicks in. The double texts, the "Are you okay?" messages, the subtle shift in tone that reveals panic beneath the surface. And what does she feel when she senses that panic? She feels the weight of your need. She feels you reaching for her to stabilize yourself. And a woman running from vulnerability cannot be the anchor for a man's emotional state. So she runs further. Here's the dark truth. Your anxiety confirmed her fear. She was afraid that letting you in would make her responsible for managing your emotions. And the moment you started showing signs of emotional dependence, she had her answer. Not because you're weak, but because she was already looking for a reason to protect herself, and you handed her one. The men who navigate this phase successfully share one psychological trait. They are genuinely unbothered. not performing indifference, not executing the silent treatment as a tactic, genuinely, deeply okay with uncertainty. And that quality, that rare and almost unsettling stillness in the face of emotional ambiguity, is the only thing that can interrupt her withdrawal pattern. Because it doesn't match her script. She expected panic. She expected pursuit. She built her defenses against a man who would chase her into the corner she was retreating into. A man who simply stays calm and present and continues living his life with full intensity gives her nowhere to hide from her own feelings. There's a darker layer still. Some women don't just pull away, they test. Unconsciously, psychologically, they create scenarios designed to confirm the belief that you will eventually disappoint them. They go cold to see if you'll panic. They become unavailable to see if you'll become desperate. They push to see if you'll collapse or hold. These are not games in the playful sense. These are survival mechanisms. She is stress testing the structure of you before she trusts it with the weight of her heart. And most men fail not because they're bad men, but because they don't understand what's being evaluated. What's being evaluated is never what it appears to be on the surface. It's not whether you text back fast enough. It's whether you have an internal foundation that doesn't crack under pressure. It's whether your sense of self depends on her validation. It's whether you are the kind of man who becomes unsteady when a woman creates distance, or the kind who remains exactly himself regardless of what she's doing. The men who pass this test are not the ones who say the right things. They are the ones who remain psychologically consistent, warm but not desperate, present but not suffocating, interested but not dependent. That combination, that precise psychological balance, is what her nervous system is searching for before it will allow her to fully open. She is not looking for perfection. She is looking for proof that you won't become a liability to her emotional survival. And here is the most unsettling truth of everything you've heard today. You cannot make her feel safe. You can only be safe, consistently, over time, without needing her to acknowledge it or reward it immediately. The moment you start performing safety to get a reaction, she feels it. The moment your groundedness becomes a strategy rather than a reality, she senses it. Women who have been hurt develop a sensitivity to inauthenticity that borders on supernatural. They have had to. It kept them alive emotionally. So what do you do with all of this? You go inward. You ask yourself whether your stability is real or performed. You examine whether you're genuinely at peace with uncertainty or whether you're simply suppressing anxiety and waiting for it to explode. You build a life so full and so intentional that her silence creates a vacuum she eventually feels compelled to fill. Not because you engineered it, but because you genuinely stopped waiting. The darkest irony in all of human attraction is this. The more you need her to come back, the less likely she is to return. And the more fully you inhabit your own life without that need, the more irresistible you become. Not because you're playing a game, but because you have become something genuinely rare in a world full of men who collapse the moment a woman goes quiet. She pulled away because she started falling. What happens next depends entirely on what she finds when she looks back. Make sure what she finds is a man still standing, unbothered, whole, and completely unbroken by her absence. That man is the one she comes back to. That man is the one she can't stop thinking about in the silence she created. Be that man. Not for her, for yourself first, and then, perhaps, for what becomes possible when two people who are both genuinely whole finally choose each other without fear.